Yo, welcome back to Christ First Podcast. Again, it has been a while, but I was fasting social media, so I didn't post it all this week, honestly, because I could have did a YouTube video, but I was off of all social media, no type of videos I was posting out. So yeah, been busy, a lot been going on, but we're back. Okay, and this time we're gonna actually try to get back into motion again. So yeah, I don't even remember what we talked about last week. I'll just put it up on there, put it up top. But yeah, this is man feels weird being back, but it feels good though at the same time. Because I know God's still been using me, even though I haven't been putting it on camera or recording it. I know the enemy's been wanting me to think that's how I can get my value from me seeing myself, allow God to use me, but that's not actually it. Because even when I'm off camera, God is still using me. It may not be the way that my flesh or me myself wants it to be, with the attention and the people seeing. But if anything, it's more of a intimate or more of a Lord led way. Like not saying that God doesn't lead me on these videos, but it's just like, you know what I mean? Like he just be leading me, bro. That's really all I'm saying. And I'm just ranting about how the enemy try to get me on that. Really try to get me to think, oh, is God still using me because I wasn't posting? Like, I don't need the post for me to even feel like God's using me, because at the end of the day, I know he's still in me, right? Because I'm still growing and his spirit's still here, which is amazing. But yeah, so today we're going to talk about two things. And these are messages I've done at church or at my house, things that I've led, which is, of course, on my Instagram, there's a video I had on there, Led by the Spirit, which is what a podcast I wanted to do. That was before I deleted Instagram. And then another one was representation. So we're going to first go into representing and like, what does it mean to represent Christ, and why is Christ's name so powerful? Because with his name, that's what we're representing. And we're going to break down the power of it too, why it has power. And it's crazy how simple it is. And I never noticed it till I read this verse. But yeah, we're going to break down why his name has power, and then what it means for us to represent him. And then we're going to go into, after representing him in the spirit, what it's like being led by the spirit and then led by the flesh, or really breaking down being led by the spirit. Right. And yeah, I think that'll be it for this one, unless the spirit lead me somewhere else. But we're going to see how long this one's going to be. Maybe a long one, maybe short. Who knows? But we're going to get right into it. So why Jesus' name has so much power? Why when we say Jesus, that name has such a big effect? Why it bothers so many people? Why it just angers so many people, right? That name has such a big effect because, again, his name is holy, which is something we all know, but there's even a deeper reason as to why it's holy, is why its power comes from that. We have to go all the way back to the Old Testament. And again, me reading this Bible plan, bro, I made it to the New Testament now, bro. It felt so good. Like I finished the entire Old Testament, and not by my own will, but by God. Because that plan, bro, I was just sticking to what I was doing. I said, hey, I'm gonna do this at 1 o'clock. I'm gonna keep going. Kept doing it. Now we here. It's crazy. But with me reading the Old Testament, it helped me see this. In Ezekiel 36, verse 21 and verse 23. Verse 21 says, I had concern for my holy name, which the people of Israel profaned among the nations where they had gone. And then 23 says, I will show the holiness of my great name, which has been profaned among the nations, the name you have profaned among them. Then the nations will know that I am the Lord, declares the sovereign Lord, when I am proved holy through you before their eyes. So before we even break down Jesus, the Israelites were supposed to be that body representing God, the holiness of God. They were supposed to be that. That's who they were supposed to be. They were supposed to represent him. That's why his holiness, he was saying to bring through you, I will do it. But they couldn't do that because they were all living on their own ways. And not only that, they were divided. And what did Jesus say? A house divided in itself always falls, right? So because the Israelite was already divided in itself, you had people believing in Baal, you had people actually believing in God, then you had people believing in wooden and statues and just things that weren't of God. So you had people just divided, which is what broke God's name, because they were supposed to represent God. And this was so crazy about it, because they're supposed to represent God in the beginning, like with Joseph and Jacob, Abraham, all of them. When they become the Israelites after Jacob, Joseph and all of them, everyone was afraid of the Israelites because they knew God was with them, because they were acting holy, they were behaving holy, they were following his laws and commands, so God was with them. And because God was with them, it struck fear in other people. So people could understand he is the Lord their God. Like he is the Lord God of all the earth, all the lands, right? But then what happened was, Israelites, they end up being wrestling with God all their life. They wrestle with God, like just like Jacob. That's why God changed the name to Israel, one who wrestles with God, because the Israelites, all they did before Jesus came was wrestle with God. But now God ends up looking like a joke because, one, if God's supposed to be with these people, why do they keep getting handed over to their enemy? Now people are going to look and see, okay, well, if they're supposed to represent God and they just keep falling into our hands, surely their God isn't that powerful. And this is what people are going to say. This is natural things that people are going to say because you see it every day when they see a Christian fall or see a Christian struggle or see a Christian in like a long suffering moment. People are just like, if that's your God, I wouldn't want to be with him if he makes me go through this. Like, this is how people work. They just do that. So because of that, that profaned God's name. And he was trying to tell them to get right so they don't profane his name. Well, they end up profaning it anyways because people will call God anything now. You got Allah, you got Buddha, you got all these people that call you God. You even ask people, which is your God? Like, that's what you got to say now because everyone believes in different gods because God's name has truly lost most of his power. As a Christian, we understand God's name has power because we know the Father through the Son. But see, for everybody else who doesn't, they just know God is just God. You can say Allah, you can break it down to different denominations, but when you get to Jesus, that's what makes it that certain God, the real, true, living God, right? But so now you see right here, the name was profaned. Right here, it says how the name was profaned because of it, right? And this is what makes it so amazing, right? Jesus' life, because the Israelites did not live a holy life and they lived a life of sin, they lived a life of going against what God said. All right, God's name wasn't as holy anymore. So Jesus came down and represented his father because he did his father's will. Jesus' life was holy, right? This is why his name was put over all names because his name has power to it. This is why when you say Jesus or Jesus Christ in places, no one likes to hear it. Fear strikes them. Anger comes on them. Everyone, the demons in them, their spirits that are on them, they just start getting uncomfortable because that is the real God and his life was holy. And just that little bit of holiness gets everyone to act different because his name has so much power in it. It makes demons leave. It makes demons flee. It makes sickness go away. Healing comes down when you say in Jesus' name. These things all happen when you say this man's name. But why? Because he was holy and his life was made holy, right? And because of that, now when we go to Christ, now we're like the sons of God, or we're like Christ's friend. We become sons of God, and we become in this family of just holiness because of Jesus, and His name has so much power that that's what we represent now. And this even goes to representation because now this is why people get so mad. You see, Israelites were representing God before, but they weren't doing a great job. They weren't showing who he really was. They weren't showing the world he was because he was trying to show his holiness through people. He's an invisible God. There's no other way we're going to see him unless he's using somebody to show his love off, right? Because in this world, we have to have faith to see the unseen or to believe in the unseen. And the thing about the unseen, to reach us, only faith can come through here. That's it. So our faith in God is why we obey him, which is what shows other people that God exists. As much as they want to say he doesn't, he does exist because seeing what we do, what us Christians go through, or even Christians in the past go through, it shows you how he is real and how with faith he is trying to show himself in this world, but we choose to kill them off every time, or we choose to get them away from us every time because we can't handle the truth. Most of us cannot because we don't want to, right? But then it goes to representing, and I have a perfect analogy for this. I was at work this Saturday, and this one lady wanted popcorn, right? And I worked on, there's two sides at my job. There's an ice cream side, there's a pizza side. I was on the pizza side. This man came over on the pizza side, said he wanted ice cream. Not ice cream, he wanted popcorn. So I had to go to the ice cream side to go get the popcorn, right? So then when I got the popcorn, I gave it to him. And then this other lady put her bucket out. She was like, can I get some too? And I said, oh, well, we have to make some more. So just give us a couple minutes and then I got you. And then she got mad. She was just like, well, you just told me that, I was going to get some and I had to wait. And now he got some before me and I've already been here. And I told her, I said, ma'am, I just like came here. Like I had no idea that like that's what happened. So then I was about to get an attitude, because I'm still human. So I was about to get an attitude where I was about to be like, yo, I know she's not talking to me. Like, bro, like I just came here. You already starting. So then when I made her popcorn and it came out, I prayed like in the corner by myself. I was like, Lord, I was like, please help me not give this woman an attitude because I know she's not mad at me. She's just mad at what I'm representing, right? And this is the Lord speaking to me in that moment because I just heard she's not mad at you. Like I just heard that because we love to take it selfishly, but no, they're never really mad at you. So she wasn't mad at me, but she was mad at what I was representing. I was representing someone that worked at my job or an employee at my job, right? And because I was representing an employee at my job, then she was angry about it. And because she was angry about it, she let that anger out on me because I was the only one standing there representing it. That makes sense. So then when I give her stuff back, and it's amazing that I prayed because I gave her stuff back, and then she just said, I'm sorry for getting mad. She said like she's been waiting and stuff like that. She basically apologized, which is crazy because I would have got convicted if I had an attitude with her while giving her the popcorn. But see, because I prayed and I didn't let my flesh take over, I didn't let my flesh flesh lead, which is gonna be the next topic. Let me not get lost. Because I let my flesh lead, I didn't get angry towards her, and she ended up apologizing, and it was all good. It was really all good because it was just a mistake. That was really a mistake. It was a moment of weakness. We all have it. But the point I'm trying to say is what I represented, she was mad at. So even with Christ in his name, yes, now his name is holy. So now we have to try to portray holy lives. You have to now live holy lives with the Holy Spirit in us, helping us, right? Because we're going to fall. But through our mistakes, God still is helping us be holy because he's lifting us up, right? But now that we're doing that, look at who we represent. We represent a man who everyone does not like. The world hates that man. The world hates what Jesus did. And that's the reason why the world killed him. That's the reason why the world didn't want him. He was in the heart of the earth. He was in the heart of the world. Like, you know what I'm saying? So the world killed him as soon as he came here and shined his light. Killed it as soon as it came in. They didn't want it. And that's the thing. Because of that, now, because of his name, we will suffer. Because of his name, these things will happen to us. And you know what? Let me actually go to, because I just read this too. I mean, in Matthew, hold on. Bro, and I can't believe that I just actually read this too. All right. But I tell you, I tell you that anyone, hold on. There's a lot of highlights on here, but I gotta find the right spot for him. Okay. It's in Matthew. I know that. It's in Matthew for sure. He explains how we will suffer because of his name. Okay, here it is. It's when he sent out the 12. All right, so this whole part, Matthew 10:119. But when they arrest you, do not worry about what to say or how to say it. At that time, you will be given what to say, for it will not be you speaking, but the Spirit of your Father speaking through you. Brother will betray brother to death, and the father his child. Children will rebel against their parents and have them put to death. You will be hated by everyone because of me, but the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. When you are persecuted in one place, flee to another. Truly I tell you, you will not finish going through the towns of Israel before the Son of Man comes. The student is not above the teacher. There's another passage in Ezekiel, well, also about representation. Because the Israelites didn't listen to God, they were not going to listen to Ezekiel. And God explained that to him. He said, if I bring you to the nations that didn't know about me, they would listen every time. I'm paraphrasing, but he said they would listen. But the reason why I'm bringing you the Israelites is because I'm showing you how they will not listen. Not only that, I'm showing you how they will not listen to me because you're representing me. And because they're not listening to you, it should touch somebody's heart to see if he's representing God, that means we're not listening to God. That means we're not even understanding what he's saying. So again, just like right here, Jesus got persecuted and all these things happened to him because of his name, because of what he stood for and because of what he said. And again, the student is not above the teacher, nor a servant above the master, right? You will be hated by everyone because of me. Oh my gosh, because of me. Whoever finds their life will lose it. Whoever loses their life for my sake will find it. This is what happens when you represent God. You lose your life, but it's for his sake. And by your life, your will, the things you want, the way you want things to go. And it's not even in a bad way. People take it as this, oh, well, then God is selfish. If I can't do what I want. The point is for you to not do what you want because humans have been doing what they want since like the beginning of time, which is the reason why we have bad things happening now. I don't get why people don't understand that. But yes, so this again is showing representation. Then we're going to go to 2 Corinthians 5:20. All right, 2 Corinthians 5:20 says, here it is. Okay. We are therefore Christ's ambassadors, as though God were making his appeal through us. We implore you on Christ's behalf, be reconciled to God. So again, we're his ambassadors, right? So this is why the things that happen to them happen to us. Things that happen to him happen to us because we're representing him. We're living his life because his life was holy. So now we're under his name, right? Because see, Jacob followed God and he was a part of that blessing. right? So it's because God switched his name to Israel, Israel was going to be blessed like that. That was the point. But see, the Israelites didn't follow that. But God sent himself down so that way through his name, now we can be saved. Because through Israel, through Jacob, through coming through Jacob's line and through Israel, if you came through Israel's line, you had that little promise, that blessing God had on his people, that protection, that love that God was trying to show them. You had that. But see, they didn't live to get that love. They lived to get God's anger and his wrath. They were going against what God said, right? But now, because of Jesus, he came down and did that. So now, through Jesus, now you're born again, and now you're in a different line. You're in a line of holiness, righteousness, right? It's amazing. Now we'll go to 1 Peter 2, 1 Peter 2:9. Bro, I always like struggle to find First Peter. Wow, look at that. We already flipped to it. That's God. I was about to say I struggle, but I'm already flipped to it. All right. So 1 Peter 2:9, my fault, not 2:19. 1 Peter 2:9. But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of the darkness into his wonderful light. So again, this basically just goes back to saying that we are representatives of God, which we all know, which is why Paul says we are to imitate Christ. Because why? This isn't our life, but it's a life we're living for him. And it's a life we're living for him because we understand that this life is short, but the life after it will be forever, right? And that's what God was wanting for us from the start. And that's what we get now. But in representing Christ, you have bad things that come with you because the world wanted to stop Christ. They shut out his light. And they're going to do the same to us, right? And the same for the people that represent him. Because again, those people that are in sin, they're never actually mad at you. They're just mad because you represent God. You have questions that they've been asking God but haven't been getting answers. And because you're sitting there saying that you know God, they're going to get mad at you because what? God isn't physically there. So they can't just yell at him, but they can yell at somebody that represents him. Just like that lady at my job. She wasn't mad at me personally, but she was mad because I worked there and I resembled an employee that she already saw before, right? And again, it's just like with the business, bro. A business isn't going to start till you have people working for it. Till you have people representing it, right? It's just an idea at first until you actually get it working with people in there. And those people are representing your idea. Come on. Come on. So, yeah, representing, it's amazing. And like Jesus said, because of me, they will do this. They will do all these things because of me. Because they are not greater than him. Same with Ezekiel. God was telling him, you will tell them these things and they will not listen. But they will not listen because they haven't listened to me. And you're representing me. Ezekiel's representing God. That's the reason why. So, yeah. We're going to go on to the next topic, which is speaking of representing. After representing, after you have that spirit in you, now after representing, what do you got to be led by? Now we understand, okay, well, I represent Christ. Let's go. Okay, but now why do I keep messing up? Why do I keep doing things on the inner part of my life that isn't representing God? Why are these things happening to me? Why do I keep falling into the same sin? Why do I keep getting angry at God? Why do I keep grappling and wrestling with the ideas that God is telling me to do, with the commands God is giving me? Why am I not obeying him? Why do I constantly keep crying? Why do I keep getting broken down? Why does it look like I'm failing? Right? All these things go on during Christ. And the big question is, are you being led by the Spirit or led by the flesh? Led by the Spirit, right? So, for led by the Spirit, we're going to break down led by the flesh first because that's what we're born into, anyways. That's all we know, until we make that choice that we want Christ. That's all we know is being led by the flesh because that's all our heart really goes for. So, we're going to go to Romans 7. I know a lot of people love this. Romans 7:15 down to 21. All right. So it says, I do not understand what I do, for what I want to do, I do not do, but what I hate, I do. And if I do what I do not want to do, I agree that the law is good. As it is no longer I myself who did it or who do it, but it is sin living in me. As it is no longer I myself who do it, but it is sin living in me. And then we're going to skip to 19. For I do not do the good I want to do, but the evil I do not want to do, this I keep on doing. Now, if I do what I do not want to do, it is no longer I who do it, but it is sin living in me that does it, right? And as Paul is explaining this, he says it twice, as it is no longer I myself who do it, but it is sin living in me. Then he goes down to say, again, it is no longer I who do it, but it is sin living in me. We hate these things. We hate falling into the same sin. We hate having these problems, right? But this is what being led by the flesh is like. Being led by the flesh is following ways of the flesh. And that is going into sin because Satan entices your flesh, right? And being led by the flesh is, okay, like simple as this. Your flesh, sometimes you have a sweet tooth. That's your flesh. I just want to have something sweet. I just want to have something good. You don't have to do that. Like, nobody tells you have to do that. Just because you have a sweet tooth does not mean you have to feed it. Doesn't mean you have to keep having something sweet late at night because your flesh is used to it, right? And because your flesh likes it, it tells you to do it. And now you think that's who you are. No, that's not who you are. If anything, that's just what your flesh wants. So now you have two things. You have two choices, kind of like Adam and Eve, to be led by the flesh or the spirit. You got that tree of knowledge of good and evil that can make you like God, or you can have that tree of life, which is led by the spirit, right? And what I mean by make you like God, because you follow your own choice, when really you're still a slave to sin, but because you believe that your flesh is who you are, you believe you're God, but you're deceived because you're not God, right? And when you're led by the flesh, your flesh will tell you to do these things and you follow it. Same like, why don't you go watch that? Go look that up. Go look that up, go watch it. I mean, just do it. Like, that urge to want to do it. The voices after, that's the work of Satan right there. Well, you should do it. It's been a long day. Like, you might as well. You should go get you something sweet. I know you're trying to fast sweets, but you might as well because like it's been a long day, and you haven't had a cookie in a while. Like, simple as that. Enticing the flesh from the desires it already wants he's using it to lead you away from God, because he knows when you go at it against God's will, that's when you'll be sinning because you're going off for what you want when you want it, and that's pride. So again, he's explaining right here now, if we do these things, it's not I who wants to do it, but it is sin living in me. This is why with addiction and struggling to leave stuff, we always say, God, help me, please. I don't want to do this. We know, God knows you already have that freedom in you, but he's going to show you that path to get to freedom. He's already given it to you. Now he's got to show you that way to do it, the things you have to do to keep that freedom, right? But not only that, right here is telling you that it's not you. It's not you that's wanting to do it. It's the sin living in you, right? And the sin living in you is that flesh. And that flesh is what's so amazing, because the flesh is always wanting things. The ways of the flesh is always desiring something. And the enemy is going to always try to entice that. But it's our job to first off deny ourselves. And then not only deny ourselves, but submit to God and he will flee. And a perfect analogy for this is picking up your cross. Your cross is your flesh. Your cross is your flesh. This is what Jesus is talking about. And everyone's flesh likes different things. Everyone likes different things. The ways of the flesh are all the same, but we all like it in different ways. We all like different things of the flesh. You know what I mean? So it's like each of us have a cross we have to carry, things we struggle with that we must deny off of ourselves. Like, hey, I'm not going to do that. So then after the fact, you realize how heavy it is. You only realize how heavy that cross is until you deny that flesh, until you deny that, that cross, until you deny what you're carrying, right? Because now you have to carry it once you deny it. But the thing is, you realize you can't carry it on your own. You can't. It's literally impossible, because before you tried to, it didn't work. So you can't carry it on your own. So now you have to realize, what, I must go to God for this. Because then that's when Satan play that mental game. When you deny yourself, you say no. And that's when he starts saying, well, what about this? Or he starts pushing you, or he starts trying to get you to do more. Then he tries to make it like, oh, well, you remember how it felt like this last time? Or you remember how this happened? Hit you with mind games to try to trip you up. But your job is to go to God, so that way Satan will flee. And then not only will he flee, but God will help you with that cross and help you keep moving, because you chose to trust in him. And when you do that, that's when you be led by the Spirit, right? Led by the Spirit. And to be led by the Spirit, which is amazing. Led by the Spirit. We're going to go to Matthew 4. This one alone just explains everything. Matthew 4, in the beginning, when Jesus got tempted, then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil, right? And tempted, by the way, tempted is a very good word, because that means nobody can make you do it. You have the choice, the consent to fall for it, right? And when we follow our flesh, we become slaves to sin, right? Because our flesh, the ways of the flesh lead to sin. They are basically sin, right? So after fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. The tempter came to him and he said, if you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread. He was hungry. That's the first thing he attacked him off of, because his flesh wanted to eat. His human self down here, he wanted to eat. It's been 40 days, 40 nights, and he completed it. Now he wanted to eat. He was hungry. The tempter came to him and said, if you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread. So his flesh already told him, I'm hungry. But what did Satan do? He came for the second part. If you are the Son of God, why don't you tell these stones to become bread? That questioning, that antagonizing, that gaslighting, that manipulating, that deceiving, all of that he does to get the flesh to be like, well, hey, why not? Because the flesh is weak. But Jesus shows right here how the spirit is willing. So Jesus answered, it is written, man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God. So as you can see, not only did he deny himself because he was hungry, but also when Satan came, he went to the word and said the word. So that way he could also not only deny himself and pick up that cross, but so he could also have Satan flee from him. Right? Then the devil took him to the holy city and had him stand on the highest point of the temple. So after he gets his flesh for wanting to eat, because his flesh is weak right now he's going to go for what he wants and what he knows he's going to have, which is a kingdom, right? And he already knows he's going to have a kingdom, but it's just not going to be here. But Satan tries to get him to get one here. Then the devil took him to the holy city and had him stand on the highest point of the temple. If you are the Son of God, he said, throw yourself down, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you, and they will lift you up in their hands, so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. Jesus answered him, it is also written, do not put the Lord God to the test. Sorry, my fault. I think I went ahead. The next part is when he said, I will give you, this and that. This part right here, now he's testing him. This is another way he works. He tests you. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many times when I wanted to go watch that corn, like he would hit me with the whole, man, I could just probably go look and then like come back. I'll be fine. Like I know I can do it. Like this is fine. Like hyping me up. And like he said, if you are the Son of God, like come on, like if you're really done with this, I mean, you can just look and then like back out. Like no, that's not how it works, right? So then you say no to this, and then this is the part where I mean, like he comes for what he wants still. His desire that he wants. He desires to have a kingdom, but he's going to have that. Jesus answered him, it is also written, do not put the Lord God to the test. Again, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. All this I will give to you, he said, if you will bow down and worship me. Now, again, he's weak right now. So if he relies on his own strength, he will follow the will that his flesh wants because he doesn't have anything else influencing him or showing him a way. But see, because Satan had God's spirit in him, not Satan, sorry, Jesus had God's spirit in him. This is what's so amazing. Away from me, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve only him. Then the devil left him, and the angels came and attended him. And the angels came and attended him. They came right after. God came to his rescue, and they attended him and helped him keep walking. And this is what I meant by the cross, because you got to understand this. Jesus' cross was heavy because he was carrying the sins of the world. He's carrying the sins of the world. Everybody's sins he was carrying on that cross while he was also weak in his flesh. So as he's carrying it up there, then his flesh gets crucified. It's just like this for us. We carry that cross. Like he said, this man must deny himself and carry his cross daily, because when you're carrying that cross on this life, on this walk, once you make it up to that hill or judgment day, instead of for you being crucified with your sins, your flesh is crucified up there with the sins that you have committed, because you have carried that cross all your life. And then God sees you with the spirit that he's put in his son, because that spirit that revived him from the dead is the spirit that will revive you from the dead, because now it's showing you that flesh is not you. The flesh is not who you are, because now he's going to allow you to be who he made you to be without the flesh being in the way or your sight stopping you from seeing that, right? Because now it's going to be off of pure faith, which is amazing. So, that was good. You know what? That was good. That was good. So, again, representing God is something that is also amazing, because you represent a holy name. And because you represent a holy name, people aren't going to like it. And that's just because of him. Because of him, that's just going to happen because of what he did. And it was so powerful what he did, because what he did was it showed us how to be who we are now. He taught us a lot. Jesus did a lot. And in the middle of reading all this, like just seeing Jesus, man, he's amazing. I mean, from the whole Bible, there's a lot of people that are good, that are doing God's will. I mean, even Moses was great, but what Jesus is just doing in this, like while I'm reading this, it's just the amount of healing and the compassion, everything he is showing is just of God. And you can see, not only see, but feel that he was perfect. You can feel it. Everything he did was of God. It was just perfect to a T. And even he's explaining to the, Pharisees and stuff, he was saying how like the law won't be it won't like be what is it, like not erased, but like annulled, I think is the word. I don't know what the word is called. But it won't be like gone until someone completes it. And that's why he came to complete it. And there's a new covenant. Now it's just his blood that saves us, which is just amazing, bro. It's just amazing. Because his blood covers us when we come up there in that hill. Like I'm telling you, you carry that cross all your life, telling your flesh no, denying yourself. Then once you go up there, man, all that is nailed up there. It is put to death as you are given life. It's amazing, man. It's amazing. And this is what happens when you let the spirit lead you and not your flesh. When you let your flesh lead you, you go down the wide path, the broad path that everyone's going, because everyone goes off their flesh, because their flesh only goes off of what it sees. Satan pulls you off your desires because he knows your flesh isn't going to heaven. It knows it's dying. So because he knows it's dying, if he can get you to follow the flesh, you'll die with it. But if you follow something else beside the flesh, that is life itself, you will live with it. Oh my gosh. So yeah, this was a good one. This is amazing, and I'm gonna make another video tomorrow. We gonna be posting through. I'm gonna start posting through. So yeah, I love y'all, and I hope y'all have a blessed one. Till next time.